when you're looking for these toll booth investments, what you have to do is you have to find a place where the end user or the end user transaction does not stop at you. And what I mean by that is if somebody's buying a house from you, they're buying a house from you. If somebody's leasing a house from you, they're leasing a house from you. If somebody's coming to your nail salon, they're buying products from you. If somebody's if they're calling your AC company, they're buying service from you. Well, every single thing that I just named, we have people in those industries all over the world that are processing transactions with their customers right now as we speak. And we're able to take a piece of each transaction.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke. Please, for our dedicated listeners, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, we're also giving away a free ebook at thepassiveinvestorsclub.com/book. It's the real estate mailbox money. And very excited to talk to our next guest to kind of talk to a lot of stuff that we haven't touched on a lot on this show. So very interested to learn more as we all grow our business and just kind of learn ways to do different things and build upon each other. Today we have Jason Criddle. Jason's the founder and partner at Jason Criddle and Associates and Smartr Holdings. Jason is also an international best-selling author and serial entrepreneur. Jason, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how you doing, my friend?
What's up, man? I'm great, man. It's a beautiful day in Dallas. Like 90 degrees. I'm out here by the park over
Nice.
where I live. Got a waterfall in the background, man, and I'm glad to talk to you, brother.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, here I'm on the opposite side. I'm in Connecticut, but we're also getting some good weather. So just kind of glad that overall, and we're just seeing hopefully some more positive news as we slowly open up the economy and people are starting to get real excited again. But this is a very interesting topic. We was talking a little pre-show a little bit about your company and your background, and some people are just not associated with it to know about it as real estate investors. But before we kick things off, would you mind just giving a little background on your company and your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Man, yeah, I talked about this. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I wrote about this. So I spent a long time, and dude, Dwaine, you too, man. I looked you up. I looked up your book. I'm excited to learn about this mailbox money book. I'm going to
cool.
get me a free copy. But yeah, man, people, entrepreneurs spend a lot of time working on products. Having been in the investor realm, having built software for 8-9 years now, I meet a lot of people that do have ideas for good products. I spend a lot of time writing about how most products will fail and most companies will fail. But the reason why they fail is because of obscurity. It has nothing to do with their product or service being bad. It's because no one knows who they are. And so your average entrepreneur, your first-time entrepreneur, they'll come up with a bright idea. They'll go print up a couple of business cards, give out a couple of business cards, and expect money to come. But money doesn't come like that. I was listening to your last show where your guest was talking about, if you have a podcast going for 4 or 5 years, then you can start getting investors. Well, that's real. And that's who I am. So anybody that's listening to the show can look me up. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've earned it, just like you've earned it. We've written books. We've been on radio shows. We've had shows. We've helped companies. We've helped investors. We've done things that can be recognized by the world without having to talk about it. And that's what makes a successful company a successful entrepreneur. Awesome. And it's because of that journey that we even are blessed to have the software company that we have now. It all started with a very different journey. And so We mainly revolve around merchant processing. We were talking about it before your show. I call our company a toll booth investment. And what that means is I put us up there with Visa, MasterCard, the stock market, just about any company where they're taking a piece of a transaction. That's the main piece of the pie. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited to really dig into this with you. I know that you're up there in Connecticut. So whenever you're investing in real estate, do you try to stay in the Connecticut market, or do you branch out into the states around you?
Yeah, for us, it's all about finding the best real estate and in the best market. I particularly focus on single tenant net lease where the tenant pays all the bills. But as far as kind of like finding deals and sourcing stuff, and everything's all done digitally, through different sources and things like that. So that's why I was kind of interested as far as your Smartr holdings on software. You mentioned toll booth, which in my mind, I'm thinking that you have to pay something going through each time. So it's like you guys are just in that position where people have to go in and out and pay the fee. So can you kind of dig a little bit deeper as far as what is the process and what type of services that constitute as like a toll booth property?
Well, yeah. So the reason why I asked you where you're investing in property is one of the problems with real estate. I teach people sales. I teach companies sales. Mm-hmm. And you fall into the same problem when you're trying to not only invest in real estate, but also when you are trying to scale and open up a location and go into a different market. Anytime you are dealing with a location, you are limited to a certain amount of customers at a certain time for a certain period. So even gas stations that are well placed could be considered a toll booth investment, because you have so much traffic that's going through a place on a daily basis that people are bound to stop there and get gas. Mm-hmm. And so whether you're dealing with, but another thing about software is global. I can get customers all over the world with my investment. Mm. I'm not limited to a specific location. If I'm investing in single family or multifamily or whatever, I can still only have so many tenants. Well, we can have unlimited customers. We can forever expand our footprint without ever investing another dollar in infrastructure. Mm. And so when you're looking for these toll booth investments, what you have to do is you have to find a place where the end user or the end user transaction does not stop at you. And what I mean by that is if somebody's buying a house from you, they're buying a house from you. If somebody's leasing a house from you, they're leasing a house from you. If somebody's coming to your nail salon, they're buying product from you. If somebody's if they're calling your AC company, they're buying service from you. Well, every single thing that I just named, we have people in those industries all over the world that are processing transactions with their customers right now as we speak, and we're able to take a piece of each transaction. What kind of investments do you have going right now, dude? While we're on the phone.
Yeah, for me.
So,
yeah.
Yep, right. And so that's a question, almost a question that the audience needs to ask. I'd like to ask people, how much money do you make when you're not working? And so to me, that's what an investment is. And pre-show, you and I were talking about here in Dallas, it's a really huge market, and there's a lot of real estate investors, and there's a lot of people that are sticking their toes in the water. But what they're really trying to do is just make a safe return. But the amount of work and effort that a lot of people that are new into the game are putting in to make that safe return, it's not really, they're not really getting the payout that the more knowledgeable, the bigger firms, the bigger commercial entities that are out there investing in real estate on.
Hmm. Could you give us just like an example of one of these kind of toll booth properties? You had mentioned just like you guys doing the customer acquisition, and it could be globally, and then funneling that into, I don't know if it's a service provider or a real estate investor. Can you kind of give us kind of an example for the people who need a little bit more clarity on that?
Yeah, like Smartr Commerce is one of our bigger brands. It's been around for quite some time. But what Smartr Commerce is it's API. It's just a process that's connected to a merchant processor. And so we've been processing transactions online for customers for many years. And so Smartr Commerce is a completely freemium model. Just in case anybody wants to check it out, it's SMARTR Commerce. It's a completely freemium model where people can hook it up, they can send invoices, they can hook up APIs to their websites or their apps in order to process transactions. They can basically run their business. They are charged no monthly fees to use the software. They are only charged a % of a transaction that happens, whether they are making a transaction is being made through their website or whether they are sending an invoice to run their company.
Awesome. And as far as kind of like the, as real estate investors, we're always trying to, is there a way that, I know they can go through that type of process? Is there other ways that investors and practitioners can also implement this? And then also my next question is, where do you see the internet and software growing, especially now that we're, more stuff is done more digitally and the marketplace is changing?
Yeah, man. I'll cover the first one or the second one first. One of the things about COVID is, not only did we see 1,000% increase, that was what it was last time I checked it a couple of weeks ago, because of COVID. But we talked a little bit about in email. We talked a little about the mortgage and rent, the Rent and Mortgage Cancellation Act, and it was just an act. It was just a bill that was proposed. It didn't become a law, but the fact that it was written shows that in times like these, options like this can be put on the table. And if an option like this, if a bill like this were passed, if this were to ever come into law, well, not only does that mean, not only do people stop getting paid their rent, even though there is relief in the way, but the bill would also change who could really invest in properties. Beyond having a huge bank behind you or a huge pile of cash behind you, it would be very difficult for the average person to go into real estate investing. And so one thing that COVID showed us is places can shut down. Places can shut down. People can stop paying rent. And hopefully next time it happens, we'll have solutions in place for it. But that doesn't mean that we're not looking at a second wave. That doesn't mean that we're not looking at a mutation. There's any number of things that could happen that could put us right back in this spot, in a worse off spot than we are now. But the thing is all those people flooded to e-commerce. All those people flooded online. So people who were invested in Zoom, they made a 300% return in the last couple of months. People who were invested in Amazon, people who were invested in Twitter, people that were invested in the software platforms that are dominating the world right now, they made it big just in the last 60 days. But the people that really make money from those companies are the people that got in when the companies were still private. The people that got in the companies whenever they were raising funds in order to scale their project. The people, you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so you have this market of real estate investors that are looking for 10 to 20%. You have this market of people in the stock market that are looking for 10 to 20%. You have private software companies that are making 3 to 5 to 1,000 times their money each and every day. That's the market that I've been invested in for the last 8 years. And it's the market that a lot more people should be aware of. And having been in software for a long time now, we were talking about this pre-show, New York, Philadelphia, California, DC, Seattle. These are the places where the big software hubs are, where everybody's talking about software, being about it, investing in it. Dallas is a huge market with a lot of real estate investors. that are not focused on private software companies.
Yeah, definitely is a good point, because for me, I've been kind of seeing this trend for a couple of years now, and me and my partner, we have some just some products and stuff like that. We understand that I call it real estate, internet real estate, in a way that you're kind of balancing your portfolio, because you know that especially in this case with COVID, that it's a big shock, especially at this capacity and at this level that no one really expected, that not having having all your eggs in one basket can be quite troublesome. And as real estate investors, we're also entrepreneurs. We have to kind of look at it from a perspective that we need to look in places that's going to be continuously earning us return and bringing us cash flow at the same time, and be able to pay our bills and support our families and stuff like that. So your approach in doing this years ago, you've been seeing the writing on the wall and been investing in software and internet properties, is definitely very interesting to learn more about. And you being in the space and being an expert in that field, like I said, we really appreciate you kind of bringing more light to this subject. And as far as kind of like your holdings, I know you had mentioned kind of like that toll booth stuff. Can you kind of talk about like what your company, are you guys more of a group that sources different properties in different fields of software and internet real estate, and then congregate investors to explore these opportunities? Or you guys are the originators of the software and you're just offering these out to investors to take a look at? What type of role do you guys play in this?
Yeah, Smartr Holdings kind of fit in between two things that we were already doing. It fit in between the Smartr properties that we were out there creating and what Jason Criddle and Associates has been doing for quite some time, which is we've been working with new, I guess, MVPs, companies that are ready to get to market. The piece, I guess, the part of our industry that's glorified, and what I mean by glorified is you have TV shows that are made about tech entrepreneurs and movies that are made about founders. But what they don't focus on is the boring stuff. It's all the time where nothing's happening. It's all the time where you're waiting for an upgrade to be done, and you have 3 months or 6 months to go, or something breaks and you realize that it's going to be a year before this thing becomes the way that you want it to be built. But when you think about that sounds like a house, right? It's like you're building a house, you have new contractors that are coming in, some law was changed, something happened, some permit didn't go through. This could be with the city, or this could be with iOS app development. And then all of a sudden the game changes. Well, that's the part of the market, or that's the part of my industry that's glorified. And that's not the reality of what's happening. Sure, there's a whole lot of people out there that are trying to build their house. And what I mean by build their house is they're out there trying to get their software launched. But what there are fewer of is houses built. Houses built that people are ready to go and show the world and say, hey man, I'm a builder and I can build all these properties. And so we fall right into here. We only work with companies that are making income, companies that have built their MVP, they built their product, they've built their software, and their software is making money, but you can apply money to what it is that they're doing and make more. You can, especially with software, you can very, very easily find what processes are producing income and then drive investment dollars towards those processes. Well, it's more difficult to do with a house, because with a house, you have to be in a certain location and you only have a certain amount of people that can buy that thing. And so that's the biggest difference. And so what we're trying to always do is put out properties that will help different industries. Right now, we're working on a private index, a transaction-based stock market, so to speak, that's used in our software. But we're even about to launch Smartr Property, which is just a tool for landlords to use to have their tenants pay their rent, stay in contact with them, and manage service calls and everything. And so we have our own property out there, but we are always looking for companies that have built their product, they built their MVP, they've built their house, they're ready to make money and they're ready to scale. And so once we find these companies that offer a minimum 3 times return, a minimum, and most of these companies can offer a 10 times return, a 50 times return, that's when we make the decision whether or not we want to work with that company.
Good.
It would be really easy to try and work with every entrepreneur, but one of the things that I try to teach people in my writing on Forbes, on Quora, is everybody has a great idea, but until it's turned into a physical company, it's not really worth anything, you know?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense there. Are you seeing a big trend? I know that, with the writing on the wall, because like I said, down my street, I see Amazon is down on my street each and every day. And, people are getting more and more comfortable doing things on internet and living in this kind of this world now, especially with the current pandemic. Are you seeing like a big rush for people to develop properties like you were saying and get into or this now people are slowly getting into? I'm just kind of trying to get a little bit of clarity as far as like, do people think it's too late to come up with the next big idea or to pursue this? Or is it more opportunities being like a limited partner on these types of transactions?
So a couple of things. And one of the things that I love about Smartr is the fact that we are a commerce engine. And so one of the things that I try to tell everybody is everybody has something to sell. Everybody can be a consultant. Everybody. My 10-year-old daughter teaches kids how to write books because she's a published author. And she has a podcast with almost 800 episodes. So if my 10-year-old daughter who started this thing years ago could do this, build a brand, then why can't everybody? Everybody can sell something. Right. And so it is never too late for someone to launch a website, launch an app, work to get a customer base, use their friends and family to get referrals, and start making money for themselves within their network as it grows within their market. If they have something that can be sold nationwide or globally, even better. So awesome. Anybody can do this at any time. And that is what we saw when COVID happened. Whether it was customers that we had that had already purchased software or registered for software with us, or whether it was new people that were recently unemployed, what we saw was an uptick in use. We saw more people who were probably thinking for the last 3 months or 3 years, man, one day I'm going to start this company. One day I'm going to sell this thing. One day I'm going to make this product. But the only thing that was holding them back was that comfort zone thing. Right. It was the rent's paid. It was the, it was all my bills are taken care of. It was there's no way that any kind of pandemic could ever come and shut the world down. It was that kind of attitude. And those people ran out. But the flip side of that is, everybody can use e-commerce, but what we need to start looking for really, and one thing that COVID showed us, is we need to start looking for pieces of software and ways to start helping others, start giving back to others, start doing for others. And that's one of the foundations that Smartr was built on. It was built on building a system that could give all of our profits back to the people that are using it. Awesome. And that's where we came up with our very, very powerful affiliate program. That affiliate program turned into one of the most comprehensive ledgers that the world has ever seen. I say it rivals Bitcoin, but it's for real currency. One of the things that, I urge people, Emma, go ahead. I'm with my daughter. Oh, cool. One of the things that I urge people to do is before they invest in anything, look at the market. Whenever people are talking about software, a lot of people start thinking about Bitcoin. Or when people start talking about making money with software, people start thinking about Bitcoin. I would urge people to take a look before they start running to cryptocurrency, or before they invest in us, or before they invest in any, VC firm or angel firm or software company they're out there looking at. One thing that I will say about cryptocurrency is cryptocurrency could go away if it was unplugged. Real estate software that runs every single day is completely different. Our software uses real currency. It's real transactions that are going around the world. It's not fictitious currency that we made so that we could put a price on it and say that it's an asset. And so these are things that people need to look out for. Going forward, we just need to be concentrating on the world. We need to be concentrating on putting things out there that are helping people first. And any money that we make is a byproduct of helping people. We were focused on our $200 a month product for 2 years. When COVID happened, we put out a $3 a month product.
Wow.
And so we saw the need. We saw people getting laid off. We saw that people were out there trying to start businesses and get their brands going, and people are finally getting off their butts. We have a little marketing graphic that says cheaper than the cost of sitting on your butt each month.
Yeah.
And so we saw a need. And so we went from focusing on one thing to focusing on another. And the cool thing is a lot of people did it. You saw a lot of people that started making masks. You saw a lot of people that started giving away food. You saw a lot of people that, and I remember when 9/11 happened, that was hell. We weren't expecting that at all. But it brought our country together for like a month. Oh my gosh, it was like a utopia. People were opening doors for each other and hugging each other, and they were so happy, and but COVID did this completely different thing, where it's distancing us and it's making us put on masks and it's making us look at other people as threats. And the world is changing, and hopefully we do see some positivity in the new normal. But with the new normal, there's going to be a lot more business online. And so even if you have a company out there like DoorDash, that's huge, and they make hundreds of millions of dollars, delivering food to people. That doesn't mean that you and 3 buddies can't do delivery in your neighborhood and kill it and make more money than that software company. And so no matter what these huge, you asked, what about going forward? No matter what a very large company is doing and delivering to the market, there are very, very small regional markets that have never heard of the software, that have never experienced this stuff before. So even us, with our merchant programs, our software, we even have a licensing program that investors purchase. We usually market it to people that are looking to invest in a franchise. We say, well, hey, white label this piece of software and go run it in your town. And so what I mean by that is, just because we have a global website builder where people can come and build websites for $3 and run e-stores through them, just because we have this big merchant processing company, just because we build these apps and all this stuff is available online, doesn't mean that in your neighborhood up in Connecticut, people have heard of it before.
Right. Very good point. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's very interesting stuff. And I like the part where you just say, learn more depending on, investing with you guys, investing with like a DoorDash or Amazon, whoever. Just get more information about it. But definitely there's tremendous amount of opportunity, no matter what the competition out there. But it's all about, like I said, regional or your part of town. So that's very well said there. To learn a little bit more about you, you just seem very interesting. You seem like you do a lot of stuff, involved in a lot of different activities. So I'm curious on what's kind of like your typical work day, and do you have any special morning routines?
Man, I would love to be that person that said, I wake up and I make my bed and I, and I do 500 crunches and, I used to be a personal trainer and nutritionist, and it was a whole lot easier to be in really good shape whenever you were getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
But I just tell everybody that I'm working on my new before picture now. And, and that's the picture that came from building the software company and raising my daughter and homeschooling her and doing all this while working from home. And so my sleeping schedule changes. Some of our developers are overseas, so there are times where I have to stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning in order for a new product or a new upgrade to launch, or there's all kinds of things. But what I try to tell people, and it's also what we were touching on, we touched on this earlier, is the boring stuff.
Right.
And so, whenever somebody thinks of a millionaire or a billionaire, they think of somebody flying around in a jet with a Gucci bag, and and they're going to the mall and they're doing all these things that that it's glorified on TV. Mm-hmm. It's trying to tell people this is what it's like to be a rich person or whatever. The hardest part of being an entrepreneur is the boring stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the time when nothing is happening, whenever it's Monday and you wake up and you're like, oh, it's going to be a great week, but then you don't have a phone call or a meeting scheduled until Wednesday. And it's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do until then? Mm-hmm. And so what I try to do is I always try to keep my hands busy, the idle hands, right? Mm-hmm. The devil's playthings. And so the reason why it looks like I'm involved in so much is because I try to keep my mind sharp. I try to keep my hands busy. I try to occupy my time. I think that that's what a real entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is not somebody who decides to quit their job because they're tired of their boss. An entrepreneur is someone who didn't fit in the system. They were probably like me. They made bad grades in school. I'm a math genius, but I don't do math your way. I do math my way, And so I've always looked at the world differently. So I try to spend my day creating content, writing, getting on shows or podcasts or radio shows. If I'm not actively working on my brand or a client's brand or something, then I'm building a Lego Technic set or or a puzzle or just or writing another book or working on a blog. I've written over 6 million words in my career. And so always just trying to stay focused, learning more about my industry and my faith and my belief in God and my path with myself. And the way that I see it is, if you can spend a little bit of time each day working towards that, then you're successful. Mm-hmm. You're a success.
Very, very well said.
So one of the things that I really like about the life that I have built for myself is when I wake up in the morning, I eat breakfast with my daughter. And I have wonderful conversations with her until she starts working on her podcast or her curriculum with her school. We've been inside a little bit more since COVID, but before, not inside. We have a beautiful park where we live. We haven't been traveling or going out as much or eating out as much. But I get to spend my time in my life with my daughter. I get to read books. I get to do the things that I really like to do. I get to put together Lego sets, and I'm a 36-year-old man. My daughter and I have a publishing company together where we help publish kids' books. So we're always working with different illustrators and working with different kids and ideas on new books to be launched and creating new characters and sketching out different characters. I lived the life of a little boy that has everything that he ever wanted.
Very nice.
And so that's what I've really tried to build for myself. And so, like I said, a question I like to ask people is, how much money do you make when you're not working?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that I know that's in real estate is working. Regardless of how much return that they're making, they're working. The stock market is a little bit more passive, but is volatile.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody can make a Twitter post that can crash the market. So regardless of what it is that somebody is out there looking to invest, it needs to be recession-proof.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody thought real estate was recession-proof, and I guess it might be. But what happened during the last recession? And COVID wasn't even a recession. So is real estate pandemic-proof? Let's see, what other things can we start looking to invest in that don't come across these problems?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be communication. It's going to be transactions. It's going to be online commerce. It's going to be insurance. It's going to be cell phone technology, medical technology. Start getting on Google and start Googling medical startups in my area. See what companies in your area have come out with some new patent or some new amazing thing that would help us get through the next pandemic even easier, and go throw $20,000 at them and get a piece of equity.
Mm-hmm.
And then sit on it, or find another company to do it for. And instead of going out and trying to get good prices on drywall and chasing down contractors that might not be calling you back, and trying to throw yourself out into a marketplace of millions of bird dogs that are all out there fighting for the same 10 or 20%, go find investments that people are not paying attention to.
Mm. Yeah, I like how you broke it down there, and definitely a very different perspective on most of the topics everyone's talking about right now. And like I said, I've been paying more attention to it in the last couple of years, but more particularly now, as it's kind of makes everyone's eyes wide open to, you have to really take this seriously, because again, we didn't expect this pandemic on this level, but moving forward, everyone knows that technology and internet and e-commerce is definitely the path in the future. Very well said there, Jason. My last question is, and I always ask all my guests this, is you being a family man, what can you say that what are you most grateful for?
Man, hard. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people say that's hard, because it's not something that you think about every day. It's something that we should be thinking about every day. And that's something that I've really been trying to focus on lately. It's something that I've fallen away from, but I had COVID. I had this virus back before anybody knew what it was. I went to the hospital a couple of times. I went to a couple of clinics. Everybody was like, it's strep throat. No, it's kidney stones. No, you're getting diabetes. No, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. And then all these symptoms started hitting the market, and then I got tested. I realized I had antibodies, and so it's like this thing really tested my faith. And I spend all my time working on being a great dad and a better dad, because I had such a shitty dad. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
No, we already did.
Edit it out.
No, we got no filter here. It's all good.
Yeah. And so I never wanted that. I never wanted that in my life. I never wanted that for my child. And so, but one thing COVID did is, man, it brought me back to God, and it made me realize how wonderful this world is that we live in, and how amazing people are, and how we shouldn't judge others, because for so many years we've been glorifying celebrities and sports stars and everything, but now we're realizing that janitors and the people that clean up toilets and the people that serve our food and the people that work at the grocery stores, these people are more important. These people are more essential, you know? The movies stopped launching in the theaters, but the grocery stores didn't close. So who's your hero?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it showed us that we live in a different world, and I'm thankful for God. I'm thankful for my relationship with my daughter. I'm thankful for my mom and everything that she did and sacrificed in order to raise us and make sure that we had a roof over my head. But I'm also thankful for the world that we live in and opportunities like COVID. And somebody might say, well, that's pretty messed up. Like, I thought Jason was Criddle was pretty cool until he said opportunities like COVID. But I don't know about you, man, but every single worst thing that has ever happened in my life has turned out to be the best thing that has ever happened in my life. Mm. And so one thing that I really saw with COVID, man, is people that have been sitting around, sitting on their butts, talking about launching that business. And then COVID happened and they didn't have a job. And there's 40, 50 million of them. And all of a sudden they jumped online and they started creating a store. Mm-hmm. They started making a graphic. They started designing a logo. They started believing in themselves. And so I am thankful for the power of the human spirit and our ability to change and grow and evolve and realize that all these things that have been holding us back for months or for years, things that have been keeping us from starting a new business, all those things changed when COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And so everybody has the opportunity to go out right now and be the person that they've always said that they wanted to be, that they've always strived to be, that they've always been working for. Because right now, we live in a world full of people with no answers. And everybody's looking for new leadership, new heroes. And so I would ask anybody at all, man, anybody, to spend their time trying to be the best version of themselves that they can be, to give people the best experience of yourself that you can possibly give at any moment in time, and just and work really hard at what you said you're going to do. Whether it's real estate investing, stock investing, software companies, being a better father, being a better spouse in a relationship, a better coach, whatever it is that somebody's dealing with, it's if they're dealing with bad times, there's a huge chance it's their fault because they're not taking responsibility for those things. And so, man, that was long.
No, that was great.
I'm thankful.
I really appreciate that.
I'm thankful for being a human, man. I'm thankful for being alive in 2020, and no matter what's happening with COVID, you know, it was the end of the world for just a little bit, but now we live in a new one. And so what really matters is what we do going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, very well said. I really appreciate you sharing that and breaking down. So yeah, it's like you don't think about it, but you know, this definitely brought a lot of people thinking, and you know, I guess, you know, like you had said, pushing people to be better versions of themselves and find out things that they couldn't believe and break down some limiting beliefs. So absolutely, amen to that. You got your we're going to put this on the show notes, but if you don't mind, if you can share with us the contact information, how we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, man. Jason Criddle, last name Criddle. It's like riddle with a C in front of it. You can Google Jason Criddle. You can go to jasoncriddle.com to get in touch with me. You could download the Jason app to get in touch with me. You can look up anything Smartr, Smartr, so Smartr without an E. If somebody were to look up Smartr Holdings, they can email Jason at smartrholdings.com. Yeah, so whenever you're looking at Smartr, if you go to the footer of any Smartr property, any website you're on, if you just scroll all the way to the bottom, then you can get to the footer of any other Smartr property. So if somebody wants to find me or connect with me, they just look up Jason Criddle. They can look up Smartr, Smartr Holdings, Smartr Marketing, Smartr Commerce. We have a bunch of different stuff out there. As far as investing, we do have what we are offering right now for investors. If you have anybody that's listening to this and they want to maybe just talk with me, not as an advisor, I can't give any kind of legal advice or anything like that. But if they want to talk to me about how they can dip their toes in getting into software or investing in private software companies, if they want any information, if they're an accredited investor, then we even have some products that they might want to look at with us. And we always have new companies being introduced to us or coming to our portfolio that we decide to do nothing with, but it might fit right in somebody else's alley. So anybody who's willing to look me up, I'd be more than happy to talk with them about my industry and teach them more.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely. We'll make sure to have that in the show notes. Definitely a very interesting topic, not talked about enough. So I really appreciate you taking our invitation to the show, breaking it down for us, and just shining some more light on this, especially now, during this market where this is the stuff that's going to be in the future. And me, I'm a big believer in diversification, but definitely get more heavily involved in the internet side of things. And I appreciate you having us on. So Jason, really appreciate you taking the time for us. Enjoy the rest of your day with your daughter. And we look forward to connecting with you again soon.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at DwaineLClarke.com, as well as find us on Facebook for more useful content and resources.